Hello and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we're going to talk about one of our community center, neighborhood center, really almost community-run facilities. It's called Y.H. Thomas in the Old Hampton neighborhood. And my guest is Sean Slaughter, who's the director of that facility. Hello.
Hey, Robin, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing excellent, doing good.
Now, before we talk too much about the center, we're going to talk about you a little bit, because you're new to being a staff member.
I am brand new.
But you're not really new to being involved with youth and the community.
True. My wife and I operate an organization, Life Power Music Mentoring. And so for a while now, a couple of years, I want to say maybe 5-6 years, we've worked hand in hand with Newport News in Hampton. And in Hampton, probably one of the things that I guess was the most memorable was a couple of years ago, we did the Stop All Violence tournament with the Community Action Coalition. And but yeah, we've always been involved doing music arts camps and whatever we can do to help curb violence, encourage kids, and just point kids in the right direction.
And that's a lot of what Y.H. Thomas does. I mean,
Absolutely.
You have programs there for people of all ages. Certainly there's seniors who are involved, but a lot of it is focused on the youth and making them as productive and useful and developing all their talents.
Absolutely, and I think that's what brought me to the job. I've been an entrepreneur for 15 plus years. And so
That's hard. That's hustle, isn't it?
Yeah, and I enjoyed it. So getting a 9 to 5 per se was daunting, but I had some good advice from good folks, and they said it would be right in the stream of what I do. And I was very, very glad that I made the choice. And that's what we do. We are creating programs for the kids in the neighborhood, for the families in the neighborhood. And it could be anything. It could be from basketball, it could be from building computers, it can be from different festivals and events. Whatever we can do to strengthen the family, make kids healthier, safer, hopefully add some learning in there as well. And so it's right along the line of what we've always been doing.
Well, it is interesting because youth violence emerged as a huge community issue a couple years ago, and the community forum was held at Y.H. Thomas.
That's
and
right.
So there's a couple of ways to look at youth violence, and the way I always like to look at it is from the opposite. It's the prevention angle. I mean, yes, when there's problems and we need to intervene, and there's a lot of stuff we need to do with kids who are already off the right path.
Sure.
But keeping kids and families on the right path takes less money, takes less time, and is better for society, and especially for those kids.
True. And I agree with that, but I still think it's a family issue, and here's why.
Yeah.
You need the prevention. I'm all for the prevention with our Elevate Out of School program. We have things like, we have tutors that come in and work with kids with their homework. I'm very big on teaching our staff on how to discipline kids, how to talk to kids, how to manage behaviors. We work really, really hard on doing that because we want to be positive examples and role models and mentors as staff at YH. But that 17, 18, and 19-year-old is going to have a kid one day.
Yeah.
And so does it take a lot of money?
Unfortunately, I mean, sometimes they already do.
Sometimes they already do,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the life cycle, you may be working with a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old that you're doing preventative measures, and their 22, 23, 24-year-old dad, or maybe even sometimes younger, still needs intervention, because if that intervention doesn't happen, then all the prevention that you do, because at the end of the day, here's the one thing.
They're going home.
They're going home.
Yeah, they're only with you they're with the schools and they're with you, and then the rest of the time.
My wife's a therapist, and the one thing that me and my wife talk about all the time is this. No matter what you do, she's done therapy with kids and families. I've done mentoring before. After all you say and after all you've done, they still have to go home. And mommy and daddy are always going to be the biggest voices. You will have some that'll cling to the center, will cling to the staff, will really buy in to some of the things. But I went to a conference in Philadelphia, and the one thing that I learned, whether it's prevention or intervention, is the thing that we have to develop is resilience. A lot of times, and
that's a really good. I hadn't thought about it that way.
This transformed the way I thought, because I'm trying to change the world and transform, and we still want to do that. But we also have to make kids, families resilient because sometimes neighborhoods aren't going to change. It'll take a decade or two.
And that's the thing. Even if you stabilize one family, the neighborhood they're living in might not have that level of stabilization.
And so kids are very resilient. People are resilient in general. And so one of the things that we want to teach while we're trying to transform minds, while we're trying to get them healthier, while we're trying to educate and do all these different wonderful things, we also have to teach people to be resilient right where they are. So that, because they may become the change that neighborhood needs.
Right. So you guys pull in parents. I mean, you work with kids a lot, but you pull in the parents for a lot of these events.
Sure.
You know, as you and I said, you've got to study a manual, pass a test, and get a license in order to drive a car. None of that happens for parents. You're out there on your own, and a lot of folks don't have deep family ties. Maybe they're here in the military, or they've moved, or their family's gone. You know, they're winging it, and you guys have some help.
The broken family. And the lack of family support system, because if you really think about it, it's grandma and it's grandpa and it's mom and or great grandma, great parent, grandpa.
Used to be. Yeah.
These are the ones that are passing down how to deal with the kids, because there is no manual. When you don't have that support system, now you're just kind of winging it, and so you don't know some of the things that seem so obvious and seem so common sense. To some people are just not obvious and common sense.
And if you're trying to be a single parent and you're working one job or two jobs and you're stressed, it's very hard to find patience. Even if you know the right way to say it and do it, it's hard to find the patience to do that. You're exhausted.
Yeah. I've always said, we all know that we probably should all have $100 million in the bank saved, right?
Yeah, right.
But knowing and doing are two different things. And I think that's why at YH Thomas with our Seeds program, where parents have to come in and take different classes and workshops or things just to educate them about what's in their community already that exists. Our family game night, where we do during Parent Involvement Week with the schools. We coincide with the schools with that. And it's to teach families how to play with their kids. And here's some fun games to do.
Isn't that funny? That parents need to be taught that.
Absolutely. And here's the thing about it. I have two kids. Right, I have two girls, 12 and 9.
Oh, girls, you have to learn how to play differently.
You do have to learn how to play differently. Yes, you do. But but I also had to learn how to sacrifice my time, because working at the center, owning a recording studio, my wife's a therapist, we had to learn how to manage our family time. And so I had to learn that, you know what, giving my girls an hour to play spoons, or giving my girls an hour, they like playing pity pat with my wife, to play pity pat, or to play life, or giving them that time, setting aside that time is so meaningful. And it's work. It's work. You have to plan it. You have to be intentional.
Yeah.
And I know if I have to do it.
Because I'm like thinking, oh, the bathroom needs to be cleaned. I've got to fix dinner. I've got to put away the dishes. These things are important.
Yeah.
But you're right, play. It's hard to remember. Play is important.
Play is important.
And if you let yourself go, you might enjoy it.
Yes. Well, that's the thing.
Especially when they get a little older.
That's the thing
if you're
about
having
it.
tea parties, that's
Well, you have to be intentional. And then when you actually do it, it's fun. They're not intruding on your time. They're not getting in your way of folding the clothes or putting stuff up. You actually need it too. You actually enjoy it as well.
Right.
And that little kid comes out. So I think it's funny during some of these games and things where you actually see the parents open up and you see them really enjoy themselves, and everybody has a little kid inside. And, going through life.
We bury it. A lot of us, it's hard to find.
Job, kids, bills.
Right.
I think it's just as therapeutic for the kids as it is for the parents.
And it's good. It's good for your kids to see you relax and laugh and be a person, because sometimes we all forget to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you don't. I can tell you don't.
Well, I like to laugh. I like to have a good time. I like to enjoy myself. I'm probably the silliest person, especially my kids will tell you that I'm goofy and silly. But life can get hard.
Yeah.
Life can get hard. And when life gets hard, one of the few things that we do have is those who live with us, those who are around us, those who raised us. And so if we at YH Thomas can make the holidays just a little better, our family holiday celebration, we'll have families come in, eat a dinner. We'll have them, the kids sing some songs. Some Christmas songs and things like that. And just get that atmosphere of enjoying one another. Because at the end of the day, money's a good thing, but like Puffy said, more money, more problems, right? Money will not solve. Money doesn't necessarily make you happy. It can make some things easier,
Yes.
but it won't solve every problem. But what can help us get through life, especially those that may not have all the resources and have all the finances, is people, is their family, is one another. And so if we can create that family atmosphere, which I know we're doing, and we can create those connections with families and with the neighborhood, I think we can just do our small part of making their lives just a little bit better.
Well, and interestingly, that's kind of the story of Y.H. Thomas. I mean, this was a beloved neighborhood elementary school that is past its prime and was slated to be basically torn down.
That's right.
And the community said, no way, we want it.
Right. And I think that's the uniqueness. You talked about it a little bit. One of the uniqueness and the differences with Y.H. Thomas than a West Hampton or some of those other centers was that this center was community driven from the start.
Right.
I mean, the first executive director and Will Moffitt or Councilman Moffitt or Chief Leroy Crosby, Purvis Tillery, some of these people who from the very beginning had jobs and were still volunteering 40, 50, Ernest Ferguson, 60, 70 hours a week to make this thing happen. And now with this this very unique partnership with the city where you have city staff there, but still
not enough city staff. I mean, really, the city could not run that facility.
No.
It has to have that neighborhood involvement.
Which is
That's
why
what makes it work.
Which is why we have upwards of 200 volunteer hours a month. 200. So we have, for instance, we have the Hampton Christian Academy. They have 13 high school students that volunteer their time 2 days a week to teach and help with homework, our elementary students. We have Hampton University getting involved to help volunteer with some of our events, with all of our events, our trunk or treat event or our Thanksgiving event. These are all volunteer driven. And so you'll come out and you'll see AmeriCorps out there. You'll see volunteers, people just giving of their time. People are calling in. And this is the amazing thing when I start working at YH, because I've always felt that...
Whites, that's what you guys call it.
We call it whites, right? Here's the thing that I felt. I always felt that volunteers were special. They're special people. I volunteer, my family volunteers. We believe that volunteerism is very important. And when I got to YH, I was like, man, I'm gonna have to work on this volunteer thing, get volunteers up. Volunteers call us. And one of the questions I always say is, why in the world are you calling a volunteer? Because it's something that I at first thought is not natural to people, but I was wrong. People want to give back. People, they want to see the community better. There's nothing better than working, putting your hands to something, creating something. Know that that's your time that you've given, and then you watch the faces of the people, the children, the families, the teens, enjoy the thing that you had something to do with. And so this week, I've already talked to 3 people already that are interested in volunteers, and they're all ages. I talked to somebody who was a professor at CNU that wants to volunteer. I talked to somebody that was a student, a third-year student at Hampton University that wants to volunteer. I talked to people that were I just felt like it's something I need to do, and so it's a wonderful thing.
Part of that, I really think, is the military tradition here, is that people have, they've grown up, they're service-oriented and community-oriented. Yeah. But I think also part of it is unique to Y.H. Thomas. I mean, there are people who feel strongly, whether they grew up there and don't live there anymore or whether they've stayed, but they have that sense of community and they want to share it. And maybe it's grandparents whose grandkids don't live here anymore, but that multi-generational giving back to the community. I remember hearing that day of the youth violence rally where people said, we want to stand up, we want to help, tell us what we can do because we want to help fix this organically through the community.
Absolutely, and hopefully that's the tradition that I'm helping to continue to carry on, is engaging the community. At the end of the day, the government cannot solve the problem of youth violence. They can't solve the problem of broken families. They can't solve these different issues that we're dealing with, black male achievement, whatever the issues that are in our community, they can't solve them. They have to come from the ground up. They can lend resources, they can speak from the bullhorn, and they can facilitate, they can make it a big topic. But at the end of the day, it is those at the ground level. It's those that are living in the neighborhoods. It's those who are working in the communities that really have to foster the change.
So we're almost out of time, but talk briefly about the different things you have that sort of hook kids. I mean, I know you have after school care, but it's more than that. You do fun things, you make sure they do their homework.
Sure, so in our Elevate Out of School program, there's a couple of things that we focus on. We focus on health, so they get to run around the gym and play games.
Kids need that after a day at school,
yes,
you know?
They do.
They've got
get that energy, they're kind of tensed up. We have homework assistants, and of course we have our volunteers that come and help tutor with that. We have our arts and crafts and STEM focus, and really STEM, you think of STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, but it's really active learning. It's really what it is. And so we try to incorporate some active learning with our arts and with our crafts and with our different things that we do there. Of course, we have our open night, men's basketball open gym, women's basketball open gym, White Thomas Athletics, which will start up the basketball season pretty soon.
So you have football there too, right?
Yeah,
football, basketball.
As well. Football, basketball, and cheerleading. We have that as well. We have, of course, our seeds, which generally is in August. We have Trunk or Treat, which is in October. We have our family game night, which is in November. We have our Thanksgiving delivery meal, where think about this, on Thanksgiving Day, for 3 hours, people sacrifice their time and come help deliver meals to those who are shut in, those who are elderly, those who may not be able to cook a meal. We do that as well. I think it's wonderful. We have family holiday celebration, which is in December. That's our singing and our games and different things like that. And there's some other things that we're working on. We have a summer playground in the summer, of course.
And that's all ages. That's, because a lot of the after school is mostly elementary. But you reach the older kids, they can come play basketball, they can come to the summer playground. They need stuff to do in the summer.
Our after school goes up to high school, but generally the majority is elementary and middle school. Our summer playground in the summertime is generally elementary and middle school. But yeah, we have to have things for teens. We just finished a class called the Build Your Own Computer class. That was for teens.
That sounds really cool.
Well, teens got to come in and learn how to build computers from scratch. They had no computer knowledge, and their final project was a computer that they donated to the community.
Wow.
There was 5 computers they built, donated to the community, fully working computers. And so those are some of the things that we're just trying to incorporate so that we can just reach the whole family.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah,
okay, I'm excited. I want to come out and see what you're doing out there.
You should.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
And I hope you will come out and see what they're doing at YH and volunteer if you have some spare time, even if it's a one-day thing like helping with Thanksgiving or one of their other events. But do come see what this neighborhood is doing, pulling together, volunteering, and helping strengthen families. Thanks for watching.